was struggling.
What's up with you, man? How you doing?
Hey, man, to be real with you, I really don't even know how to answer that question.
I'm proud of you, man. I see you doing your thing down there, man. I mean,
Man,
it affects me more because it's actually my hometown. So I actually, when I see you doing it and I see people from my hometown reposting what you're doing, that's cool.
yeah, man, it's like really just going as we go, because I had no idea that this is what I was gonna be doing this week. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of at the time just dealing with the emotions and everything like in the world and society, that we felt like we were at least 1 degree of separation, away from, and then have it turn to be like, in my neighborhood at the crib, you feel me? And it was just hard for me to just like not do nothing, not sit back, because I was just enraged about the world. And then like for you to just spit in my face and have this happen in my crib, like when my grandma stay on the street, all my little cousins got to ride the bus on the street. Like, there's no possible way I could just sit back and just allow that to happen and not say nothing.
Can you tell the listeners, let them know what happened? Because they might not know about the case.
Absolutely. 2015, August 16th, Columbus Police Department Officer Kenyon Boykin shot and killed Ricky Ball on Northside Columbus, Mississippi. And during this situation, immediately the community, which is about a 65% African-American community, felt like it was, a closed door case. Like, there wasn't any worries, anything about it, because, he didn't have his body cam on, which was a regulation, a procedure to have your body camera and your vehicle camera on at any stop. He had an unauthorized individual in the car at the time, his girlfriend, I'm assuming, or a young lady in the car. He shot him in the back and claimed self-defense, saying that he was shooting back at them, and they found no like gun residue or anything on him. And on top of that, he wasn't even on duty at the time. So I think the community was assuming like, okay, we're gonna grieve this loss, but this kind of like an open closed door case, and so they end up voting a district attorney in, an African American district attorney,
I actually went to school with him.
Right. To specifically handle these kind of cases where our young men and young women are being, taken from us, and there's nothing we can do. We're gonna put somebody at the final line of defense to handle this for us. So that situation happens. He gets indicted with the district attorney, Scott Cologne, over the case, and people are kind of, relaxing on the situation. But this is where it gets sticky at. The district attorney, Scott Cologne, decides that for whatever reason, I will not speak for him on this. I only allow him to answer this because I don't want to get it wrong, and I don't want to speak for him on something that is this critical, this important. But he decided he wanted to pass the case on, which is directly against the wishes of the people that voted him in, right, and the community, that because in Mississippi, which I'm pretty sure I don't have to tell all the listeners, it's important to have representation of the community that you're from, So we needed a brother in there, and we needed somebody who was going to fight for these kids and make sure that they just not lost causes in the world, because, through the history of Mississippi, from Emmett Till all the way down to Ricky Ball and beyond, we don't get the hashtags. We don't make the hashtags. Yeah, Emmett Till, for sure. Let's not act like, this ain't our history. And to come to find that out, and then to come to find out that Mississippi is the last state in America to indict an officer on a homicide of an African American, whether it be a male or a female. And I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to know that there's corruption going on there, because you would never think Mississippi would be the last state in which an officer wrongly shot or killed an African American. Like, we don't have to debate long about that. And so if you look around and you see what's going on in New York and in California, more liberal states across the country, in which this stuff is happening frequently and being filmed, and then you think about it's never even been indicted and charged in Mississippi. I mean, I can only imagine how many kids like Ricky Ball who just never get a story. In fact, another situation in Columbus happened where a man was found hung in a park with no chair, no table, or anything to prop him up, and they labeled it suicide.
In Columbus?
In Columbus, in
what
the park.
Dwayne Hayes?
Yes.
Uh.
And so, I mean, are you gonna tell me that he climbed the tree and stood on the branch and then tied the rope
you
around
already
his
know
neck,
what happened with
jump
that.
off?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, this like, I mean, it's nothing to see a KKK poster, a propaganda poster in the park. It's nothing to go to Tupelo and see a KKK poster, or it's nothing. It's Mississippi. So for me, I think people just got, these people in power. But let me get back to the story. So he turns it over to Hood, who was the attorney general for 4 years during this case, from 2015 to 2019. Jim Hood. He was the attorney general for the state attorney. He basically just sat on this case, just watered us down. Nobody really knows what's going on. The mother's not, Ricky Ball's mom's not getting any information. He's not including her in any information. And to be honest with you, he's not really being inclusive with, Scott Cologne, the district attorney for our county. And he's not really including him, in which he turned the case over to him because he knew that he had the credibility, he had the tenure in our state to win a case like this, which has never happened in the state. I know it's a big deal, but maybe the pressure got to him to where he felt like a new African-American district attorney might not get the same respect, might not get the same, benefit of the doubt that a Jim Hood, who's been in there 50, 60 years, would get. And then Jim Hood all of a sudden disappears, and this lady, Lynn Fitch, gets in the attorney general's seat in January. So you go from 4 years of having to figure out exactly what's going on with this case, in which we don't have any video evidence. A kid was shot in the back and you claim self-defense. It's already been indicted here, to within 4 months, from January to whenever she got in office and got the ability to overlook all these cases or whatnot, to May, that you saw enough to say that there's no evidence to go against that, the fact that it's self-defense.
Yeah.
Where do we make any sense of this entire situation, to where a man who's been in this position for 30 plus years takes 4 years to figure it out, and he can't figure it out, and then you come in and then 4 months you figured it out enough to dismiss with prejudice the fact that there's no evidence that states that it's anything other than self-defense.
Has she made any statements?
Outside of the fact that you shot him in the back, you didn't have your video camera on, you had an unauthorized person in the vehicle, you had already made threats against this individual about how you would get him, and the gun that they found on him that he was supposedly shooting at them belonged to the first responding officer that got there, who said the gun was stolen from him 2 weeks ago. Now, obviously, and you have to be able to prove these things, but because we're speaking to the people, we're speaking to my people, the Moorish people, the African-American and indigenous people of America, we don't got to think too hard about what's going on here. We know what happened to Emmett Till, and a story 80 years later of a woman coming out and say, you know what? Honestly, he never even whistled at me.
Right.
And we talking about Mississippi. So for her to make this decision 3 days after the George Floyd situation, a month after, 3 weeks after Breonna Taylor, a month after the Ahmaud Arbery situation, Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, all this is just adding up, piling on up, adding up to people who kind of numb to it in Mississippi. And then for you to spit in my face with this situation of a brother of mine, a friend of mine, somebody's cousin, somebody's homie, somebody's mom, somebody's dad, a mother's child, for you to just be like, I don't really got no explanation. I don't feel like dealing with this right now. In the midst of this time, was spitting in my face. You spit in my face. And essentially, I felt like the least I could do is say, nah, that's not right. And then it just grew, man. It just grew out of my control. All the glory goes to God, first of all, because I believe in God. And I believe that, God ordains my steps personally. Mm. But, I had no idea. I just said, let's just meet at Lee Mall. It's a small town, man. And that's a lot to deal with. That's like the book of Job, you know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, you turn to the left, chaos. You turn to the right, chaos. Like, if you're a black person in America right now, under the age of 100, you don't even know what a global pandemic is, number one. And you're experiencing that right now. Mm-hmm. You experienced Ahmaud Arbery jogging through his neighborhood on video camera, being shot in the street like a sick dog by a son and father with no badge, no kind of authority, anything other than what you used to do. Then you watch Breonna Taylor be in her own home, the privacy of her own home, and people just say, well, you know, we just made a mistake. And then for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, you hear this man plead for his life. I can't breathe. I call out for his mom. His mom had been dead for 2 years. That's a lot to deal with. But the hardest part of all of that is knowing that outside of somebody deciding to do something about it, Ricky Ball don't make that hashtag list. Ain't nobody gonna see a video of Ricky Ball. If they say a kid got murdered in Mississippi, nobody gonna blink twice. Because that's what people think about Mississippi. That's what they conclude about Mississippi, unless they from there or have direct roots there. And even then, they probably still feel that way.
Did you know him?
Yeah, I knew him, not personally, but I mean, it's 23,000 people roughly in the city. So, you know, we was in the mall together at some point in time. He hooped at Southside Baptist Church, you know, during the summer league, like I did. So, you know, he was a little bit older than me, but and he went to Caledonia. But I mean, you know how small our community is. You know everybody, or you know their mom, or you know something like that.
Yeah, even my I interviewed this homie in Canada, man. He said they got some stuff going on. Cause he said it was this black girl. She was like had disabilities, and a cop threw her out of 25-story building.
Yeah, I just heard about that.
Yeah, so it's like going on everywhere. So shit, it's like everybody is crazy shit going on. So how's the city doing?
Man, it's just like it's a lot, man. It's a lot because like you know, man, we talking about people that's been in the desert for a long time, man. And it's like seeing when you in the desert, right? Well, how it's presented, you see mirages and things like that. And it's like being one kid just in the middle of this group that's been roaming the desert for hundreds of years and looking out and just seeing the peak of a mountain or seeing the peak of a riverbed. And to be real with you, I ain't know if it was a mirage or not. We hopeless, and what we got to lose. And I mean, honestly, truth be told, it's never happened before. So if I fail on my face, so the fuck what? You know what I'm saying? The least I can do is try. And so I'm just like, everybody, I think we should go this direction. And I don't know if it was just a society right now, the times, the pandemic, hundreds of years of restoration from slavery, or almost hundreds of years of restoration from slavery, or timing, or even Jim Crow spoke about 1619, 400 years is all you got, and that would have been 2019. It's real, it's deep, man. It's like people say, you know what? If somebody willing to fight for us and somebody willing to take the lead, we just gonna shut the fuck up and follow. And you know, that's been hard for Black people to do that. It's been hard, and I watched it happen. I watched people come out there and say, what you got? I mean, people didn't come out there initially, but because I went out there and I said, you know, I'm just stand out here, I found 2 or 3 good people to just come out there and rock with me. And we just gonna try. We just gonna stand in a circle and shout at each other because we mad. We gonna cry with each other because we sad. And we gonna fuss at who we think is to blame. And we gonna tell him where he went wrong with this situation. All right, we're gonna get it all out in the open, because ultimately, if we're gonna beat this, we're gonna have to do it together. We're gonna need the district attorney, we're gonna need the mayor, we're gonna need the sheriff to give an account. So ain't no point of us going here and having a battle royal with each other, because how we gonna get it done unless we do it together?
I read that cop had just got off suspension before that.
And listen, we talking about Mississippi. Everything you read is twice as crazy in real life.
I got a story for you, man. When I was out last time, it was like a couple years ago when I went home. me and my homie were just in the parking lot of we was on South Side, but we were just in the car in the parking lot in my mom's mom right here. So we just parked on the side of the road. Man, cops just pulled up on us with guns, like, what's going on? What y'all doing? We like, man, we just in the car. Then my mom, he had to come out. My mom was like, hey. And they're like, fuck all that, go back in the house. And then I'm showing them my card. Oh, that's how y'all do it in California. I'm like, bro, I'm from Mississippi. But, crazy shit.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I was doing. We were just like you doing right now. I was just
Right.
like that. Cops just rolled up on me and shit. So I know that shit is crazy over there. But I heard seemed like the good thing. You said the FBI picked up the case.
Yeah. So the FBI had been on the case, but I think through a collective effort, like we re-energized everyone, and with her dismissing the case with prejudice, it provides a different. This is the first time this has happened. Dismissal with prejudice means that we can't review or reopen the case at a higher court. Like, what are y'all trying to hide here?
Yeah,
nobody.
How they do that?
You didn't even give District Attorney Scott Cologne, who handed the case over to you, any details. Like, all of these procedures are being broken. All of and this happens in Mississippi every single time, but it's just bad. It's just this time people just fed up.
Yeah, I think this might be a little bigger than Scott.
And honestly, all they needed was one person to go out front and say, man, I'm fed up. And literally, people just piled in. You know what? I'm fed up too. I'm fed up with this. Like, I'm fed up with this. Because this man sued the city, he's applying for a job as a sheriff in the county. Understand what I'm telling you? So who am I to think he's not gonna go after me now that I done all this?
I know, right?
So I'm saying it's that personal with me. And is that real? Is that real for all the black boys out here in Mississippi and the black girls too? Is that real for us every single day? And it's like the world gets to taste it, but we got to live it every day. It's every day. It's nothing to see a man hung in the park or see a KKK sign or hear about a kid getting shot and then they just throw it out and say it's self-defense. With nothing.
I'm gonna say what do you want to happen though? Cause I mean, like, shit.
I want everybody in
like,
America. I want everybody in America to know that this happened. That's all I want. I want Ricky Ball's name to be honored for being on the front line for this revolution that's about to take place, just like everybody else. Because, man, if God moved in a miraculous way to where the first case of a homicide by officer of an African American is indicted and charged in the state of Mississippi, do you understand the implications of that? That changes everything. Now, police officers in Mississippi know it's possible for you to get caught. If the right ones hear about it, it's at least a threat. They don't feel like it's matter of fact, they so comfortable they come right back to the same city after killing somebody. How could you even think about offering someone a job after I wouldn't even want that kind of pressure on my unit. Just go find your job somewhere else. But they so comfortable because nobody feel like there's any hope of saying anything. And I'm just like, well, you definitely don't have no hope if you don't do it at all. So I'm gonna just try, and then if I fail, what changes? Nothing. Like, I ain't gonna lose nothing.
Right. I'm gonna say that's what I'm gonna say too, cause shit, especially like Columbus, Mississippi, that's that deep, hard racism.
Right.
Like, how can you even my thing? How can you combat that? Cause to me, the only way you really combat that is leave. But how do you think you combat that? Like, you got generations of racism over there, and they still teaching it. That's the thing about California and stuff is like some people teaching that stuff, but it's so blended out here that they're not teaching that. But Columbus, Mississippi, stuff like that, they still teaching their kids that hate and stuff like that.
Man, let me tell you, I could write a book about it, but I mean, for the sake of time, it's just information, man. It's information. We in a time unlike any other, and where I could say something right now and a million people can see it. Nobody has, no human being has ever been able to do that, even on the TV, because you would have to play a local TV station or you have to play a local radio station. And so now we got digital radio, we got FX, we got XF or whatever the hell it is. We got the internet, we got a social media platform in which I can basically get 1 million followers on I don't gotta pay nobody. I can just grind it out, get 1 million followers, and I basically have my own network. And so it's an access of information, communication that we've never had before. And I think that makes a difference. And so my goal is to just basically use my platform to try to empower people to try. Because I mean, like you just stated, it seems as though the only hope is to move out. But I mean, we're the majority in this city. It's a 65% African American population. So that lets me know that the power is perpetuated. It's not real. It's just it's propaganda. So what happens if I empower the 65% to actually start using their economic power with their own people? You know what I'm saying? Or using their voting power to actually put their own people, or grooming their own people to be the circuit court judge or the district attorney or the attorney general, and focus on those kind of things, like, you know what I'm saying, being independent in the times of national chaos and stuff like that. Things that people have always spoken about, but have never had this ability of communication in an instant like we have. If Marcus Garvey or Malcolm X or Martin Luther King could have a Facebook page
I
or
should have been
Instagram
over.
page or a podcast or what? Like, what we talking about here? But you literally you had to, you know, it was a level of work that is just, you don't have to do anymore. I mean, and the crazy thing about it is we know it about every other entity. Like, we literally curse hip hop for how saturated it is because of the internet. We literally like we don't even care about how bad a girl is, because we can just go see any girl in the world over one scroll of Instagram, and we like, it's not even impressive anymore. It's just like, we understand the accessibility we have to travel the world with our phone, except when it comes to communicating proper information to be our true independent nation within. Like, we don't have to leave America. We have billionaires in our culture, not in our ethnicity or our race or nationality. We have billionaires in our, like, you know, these aren't doctors and we got rapper billionaires and basketball player
billionaires,
boxer billionaires, like,
yeah.
you know, people who 1 degree of separation away from these neighborhoods. So everything else is just perpetuated. We just think it's hopeless, so we don't do nothing. But
yeah, cause I was even looking at I don't know if you know this about Floyd Mayweather, but if you look at Floyd Mayweather, a lot of his early fights was in Biloxi. Like, he fought a lot of fights in Biloxi, so I know he
right.
know about he fought like at least about 10 fights in Biloxi.
Right.
Yeah, I was thinking about moving back home, man. I might be back there in the end of the year or something.
Hey man, it's going
Bring
on right here,
politics
man.
to the South.
It's like, it's gonna be so important for Black-owned media platforms, my brother. Like, man, it's gonna be so important for people who to be able to not only portray the information, but be able to have our own. Like, I don't understand why we fear the art of war so much. Like, you know, I know it's indoctrinated in our spirit to be gracious and merciful, but it's like we steer away from the art of war. I mean, man, listen, these people are just evil with it, but it's not ingenious. It's not genius. It's very genius to practice these tactics in order to conquer, in order to be superior. But
yeah, that's why I remember. Well, me and DJ Perry, we both Marines, but like, I love reading that Robert Greene stuff. I know a lot of people like, don't read that shit, but I be like, that's how they think. You gotta learn how to, like, you gotta know how your opponent, I ain't opponent, whatever, but you gotta know how they think. That's how they think.
man, you gotta know. No, listen,
shit.
you have to know how to preserve yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I mean, if people say, I don't want to waste my time with the opposition, I don't want to focus my energy on that. Okay, well, just consider it focusing your energy on self-preservation. And the most fit thing you can do is not get money, not get economic success, or not become independent financially. That's not the most fit thing you can do on the earth. The most fit thing you can do on the earth is repopulate. And so, even beyond self-preserving ourselves, it's like, I can't let myself get taken out or be naive or be vulnerable, because I have to raise my daughter and keep reproducing in this world. That's literally the economic power that we have, is our numbers. And they'll tell you that voting ain't shit, and they're not going to correct you at all when you being kicking it with your homies rolling up. You like, man, they be stealing votes. They be like, yeah, thank all that, so you don't even come out here. And to the point, my generation, like, man, I wouldn't dare vote. That shit ain't even real. That's what they want you to think. That's exactly what they want you to say. And they go piling into that motherfucker every 4 years. I'm talking about I'm talking about people who don't read books now, and I'm not, you know, I ain't here to tear nobody character around. I'm talking about white people who don't even read books, and they're piling into the talk. But we here to talk about, man, it don't even work. It don't even well. I mean, what else is working? What else are we
Yeah.
doing that's working?
Yeah, I know, right? Shit. All right, bro, man. I want to appreciate having you on the show, man. I know you got a lot of work to do, so I don't want to keep you on here all day.
Absolutely. Listen, man, everybody listening, please go to KS_D Horton on Instagram. Link in my bio is the petition. I signed Ricky Ball. We're looking for 20,000 signatures on there. We need 10,000, but we're talking about Mississippi, so let's get 20,000 on there. And, man, I just want to get the nation to look at Mississippi. Our children, our kids don't make the hashtag list. And I'm not saying that anybody else is we're more important than anybody else, but I'm saying we are as important as everyone else. Our kids don't make the hashtag list, and we at least want people to say, no, pull us along too. Like, we want to be a part of this movement too. We don't want everything to change across the world, and then Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, we still stuck in the same place.
All right, man. Appreciate having you on, bro.
Man, bless, man. Grateful for you, King.